Mr. Walton, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Johnny Walton, 401 New York Avenue. I'd like to let you council members know that I do pray for you, and I hope God hear my prayer. But are we considered the harbor of hospitality or the harbor of division? To me, man, I've been around Liberty City a long time. We have never been divided as much as we are at this present time. One reason for the division is control. And we all know that any house divided it has to fall. There's a lot of disrespect on this council. Let me bring it to your attention because many times the Daily Advance doesn't print things the way it really happens. I was in attendance. The first meeting, on the 17th, a special meeting of the City Council was called and duly advertised for Monday, March 17th, 2014 in Council Chambers located on the second floor. You know where we are right now. Members present, Councilman Brooks, Spence, Horton, and King. Members absent, Mayor Peel, Councilwoman Baker, Councilman Donnelly, Mayor Pro Tem Anita Herman. She was absent also because of her illness. And Councilman Tony Stymax. Others present, City Manager Rich Olson, City Attorney Bill Morgan, Chief of Police Eddie Buffalo, and City Clerk Vivian White. Now they were here because they're on payroll. If they don't show up, it's insubordination. But the rest of them, they showed up because they didn't want to come, I guess. Now, we talk about this 2020 vision. It's not the whole community that is excited about that. You know, whatever the newspaper put in there is distorted, y'all, because they only write good things about certain people and they knock down other people. And then they're talking about bullying. That is what bullying is. You don't treat everybody the same. You pick on certain people. Now, bullying for Michael Brooks is talking to a city worker. But when Mr. Cymax bullied a retired teacher, it wasn't bullying. They congratulated him for saying, "I'm sorry." But he said it in a way like, if it's in her mind that I did something wrong, I apologize. Come on now, let's be fair in this thing, y'all. Daily Advance, you need to do things the right way. The truth supposed to line things up so the truth will be shown. Now, on the 10th, after 5 minutes recess, the council entered closed session pursuant to Councilman Spence's motion. Motion was made by Councilman Kim Spence, second by Councilman Tony Stymax to come out of closed session and go back into open session. The motion passed unanimously. Mayor Peel declared the meeting into open session. Councilman Stymax stated that the Councilman Brooks' previous motion had been tabled by Councilman Spence's motion to go into closed session. Councilman Brooks restated his motion as follows. Motion was made by Councilman Michael Brooks, seconded by Council. I'm going to cut all that out because it's too much to read. But the mayor, he just took and closed the meeting. He wouldn't let Mr. Brooks make the motion. But the newspaper doesn't want to write about that. They don't want to write about anything that's the truth. They just want certain people to look good and other ones look bad. That's wrong. That's not the harbor of hospitality. Now, 2020 vision. You tell kids to get an education in school, all they got to do is not show up. That's what we do. When we can't handle a problem, don't show up. We talked about on one of your task force, making a strong family. If you are a dad, just don't show up. They call this deadbeat dads. I guess the next thing we can call this council is a deadbeat council. Just don't show up when your thing's not going your way. That's what we are creating. Frankensteins. Rather than people working things out and get along, we want to have our way about everything. People from Camden and anywhere else come in and make good reports about people on our city council. I can't make the same reports. I still got the vote. The vote is still out there. You talk about recommendations to the school board. Remember, there is no private in ECPPS, and also the C in ECPPS does not stand for charter schools. This council, you talk about, okay, I'm almost finished. This council, you talking about charter school, and it's wrong, because you are using public funds for private education. That's wrong. But then we come here and say, well, let's exonerate them. Let's act like nothing run on wrong. You can't make right out of wrong. Let's exonerate them. Let's act like they did nothing. You got to live with yourselves. But I'm going to continue to pray for you. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, do we have any else? Someone else?
We have June Gibbs, Ms. Gibbs has 3 minutes.
Okay, Ms. Gibbs, if you would state your name and your address, please, for the record.
My name is June Gibbs. I live at 1918 Providence Circle, right out in the Oxford Heights area. I just wanted to come up tonight. I read an article recently in the newspaper about Councilman Brooks, and I just want to say that, and I know I'm speaking for quite a few others, Councilman Brooks, we really appreciate the way that you get out and fight for us. There are not a lot of people that stand up for us, and what they say, they mean. But I want you to know tonight publicly, I appreciate it. To Councilman Horton and to Councilman Montravius, I am so sorry that your first stint on council has shown you a council that is this divided. And it is divided. Councilman Spence, I've watched you over the past couple years, and I see now that you're seeing what's going on. I could feel it in you when you first got here, that you were coming in and you wanted to give everybody a fair chance. Well, you saw that wasn't being fair. I'm one of those citizens that might have been a little guilty of not doing what I needed to do. But thanks for Reverend Ernest Sutton, who talked to me one day out in front of the Board of Education. And I was talking to him about the charter schools. And his words to me were, you would be remiss if you don't do what you need to do if you know something is wrong. So wherever you are, Reverend Sutton, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I have decided I need to do what I need to do to make sure that all children, the children that I work with, the children that are my children, and everybody's children, will get a fair education, and that my tax dollars hopefully won't go to pay for private schools for the elite, but for schools for all. Thank you.
Is that the last one? Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is approval of minutes. First set of minutes are the City Council Planning Retreat Session 1 from February 28th, 2014. We have a motion.
Motion to approve the City Council Planning Retreat Session 1 minutes of February 28th.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is City Council Planning Retreat Session 2 from March 1st, 2014.
Motion to approve City Council Planning Retreat Session 2, March the 1st, 2014.
Second. All right, motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next set is City Council Regular Session, March 10th, 2014. We have a motion.
Motion to approve City Council regular session, March 10th, 2014.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And finally, the City Council Special Meeting, March 17th, 2014.
Motion to approve the City Council Special Meeting Minutes from March 17, 2014.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Okay. Next is the consent agenda. Mr. Olson, would you walk us through those items, please?
Yes, Mayor, members of City Council, we have 8 items on tonight's consent agenda. Item number 7A is consideration, selection of Gateway Bank as the city's official depository for banking services for a 4-year period beginning May 2014. 7B is consideration, authorization for the Elizabeth City Fire Department to utilize the structure owned by Water Street Properties, Inc. at 502 Pearl Street for fire training Item number 7C is consideration adoption of a resolution in support of a Raleigh to Norfolk Interstate. Item number 7D is consideration approval of the Third Amendment to the interlocal agreement between the City of Elizabeth City and Pasco County to keep a consolidated park and rec department for the next 5 years ending June 30th to 2020. Item number 7E is consideration authorization for the Elizabeth City Police Department to submit a grant application to Firehouse Sub Public Safety Foundation in the amount of $16,408.45 and to utilize grant funds for the purchase of 10 AED defibrillators to be placed in police patrol vehicles for the use in the field. Item number 7F is consideration call for the first public hearing to notify the citizens regarding the city's intention to apply for CDBG eligible grant. That public hearing will be held 7:30 on April the 14th in the City Council Chambers, 306 East Colonial. Item number 7G, consideration call for the required second project-specific public hearing in advance and submission of CDBG infrastructure grant for the raw water transmission main replacement project to be held on April 14, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. in the City Council Chambers after the first public hearing soliciting citizens' input for additional CDBG eligible project. The last item is 7H is consideration call for the required second project-specific public hearing in advance of submitting a CDBG infrastructure grant for the Harrington Road Sewer Project to be held on April 14, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. in the City Council Chambers after the first public hearing soliciting citizens' input for the additional CDBG eligible project. Staff recommends approval of all 8 items.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Okay, we're going to skip over 8 and get down to the regular agenda. Item A. Mr. Olson, would you?
Yeah, item A is a request from the Aetna organization to utilize the senior citizen minibus for the annual Ghost Walk, which will be held October 10th and 11th of this year. Aetna is responsible for securing the appropriate liability coverage, insuring the city, or naming us as additional insuree, reimburse the city for fuel, and compensating the city-owned driver at a rate of $25 an hour. This item did go to the Finance Committee. However, there are several members of the Finance Committee who had some issues with this because they are members of Aetna and decided to pass this along to the full body without a recommendation because of their potential for a conflict of interest.
Okay. Any questions? Ms. Baker?
I just would like to state that I am a member of Aetna as well, and chairman of Ghost Walk as well. Just disclosure. All volunteer.
Any other discussion or comments? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the use of the senior center minibus by Aetna during the annual Ghost Walk with provisions as indicated by the city manager.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Item B, Mr. Olson?
Mayor and members of City Council, last Friday, we did have a special City Council meeting to discuss the sale of generating assets as proposed by the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency. We did have with us Graham Edwards, the CEO, and David Barge, the Chief Counsel. They made a number of statements for the record to the City Council because of non-disclosure forms that the City of Elizabeth City Council is under to discuss very specific items associated with this resolution. The resolution itself is very straightforward. City staff is requesting that you adopt the resolution endorsing the sales of the assets we have, which is the Sharon Harris Nuclear Power Plant, the Roxborough, Mayo, and also the Brunswick Nuclear Power Plant. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but most of the information that was relayed to the city council, because the non-disclosure agreements did occur in closed session, I will not be able to answer any specific questions because of that.
Mr. Stones?
Make a motion to adopt the attached resolution as described and presented by staff.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Mr. Stones?
What we can tell you is this, is basically, everybody's complaining about our rates being high. 1/3 of the cost of our power has to do with debt. By selling off these assets, we reduce that debt. By reducing that debt, we have the opportunity to reduce our rates. That'll depend on a couple of things, how much we have to refinance, how much we need to keep in-house for any other projects. But the net impact for us as a city and everybody else and for our customers is we will have the ability to reduce our electric rates, which we haven't had in the past. That's the long and the short of it.
Any other comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. If we have time for this one. Item C is, Mr. Olson, walk us through that.
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, I believe it's appropriate to address this particular item after you have your public hearing, because it's tied directly into the public hearing. So it would be premature at this time to address this issue until after the outcome of the public hearing.
We'll take a 5-minute recess. We can end at 7:30.